Hi guys, yeah, got this bad boy now. So I have to keep this on. Keeps tensing up and fucking squeezing the arm off me. Another trip up to Dublin, which is fun. And I think this is just the body basically telling me you've had enough. I just feel so overwhelmed, and I think if ever there was proof that I am after trying my fucking hardest and I cannot give any more, it's this. Like I feel like I have just pushed and pushed and pushed, and I feel like that's the worst advice, and I keep saying it. And that's why I wanted to make this video saying ignore everything you've been taught because it's designed to burn you out and work you into the ground. And if your mind doesn't break, your fucking body will. And man, I'm so fucking tired. Going like my mom came up with me, and then afterwards we had to go to the shop, and I really didn't want to. And both her and my brother say they know me so well, but I don't want to go shopping after that. I hate shopping to begin with. I really don't like doing it, but it's a necessity. You have to do it. And I put on a brave face and I do it. I shut up and I go and I do it. And the reason why I do that is because of a lot of shame about not being able to do it when I was younger. So I think stop making a fuss and just fucking go in and do it. One sec, sorry. I'm just gonna take a drink. And my mum was very insensitive now, I have to say. She was joking, yeah, but she kept on getting in the way intentionally and then smiling at me, but intentionally annoying me. And I was like, my fucking blood pressure is through the roof and I'm not in the mood for this crap. No, I didn't say that to her, but I said, Jesus, you're very sensitive, aren't you? A bit of empathy, because I was there kind of laughing it off, but really I was annoyed, because I was like, not the time or the place. I'm not in the mood for this now. She just kept getting in the way, kept annoying me. And I was like, oh, I'm not in the mood for any jokes now at the minute, really not. Now I laughed and pretended like I was. I was laughing and going, you're pushing it, but I was there thinking you really are pushing it. And it's all well and good telling me shit and saying that I'm not doing the right thing or I need to do this or that, but then going out your way to annoy me when I'm going up getting this fucking thing put on my arm. Everyone's pissing me off, and nearly 6 months sober, and I'm just noticing how fucking ignorant people are, how fucking rude people are, and it really boils my blood, and I need to watch it because this yoke will fucking tense up, and then everything is really getting on top of me right now. I feel like I've given all I can give and more, it's just too much. And I don't think people appreciate how difficult daily life is for me, just going out and doing daily tasks. I'm trying to work, I'm trying to get out there. I'm trying my fucking best not to fall apart. And it doesn't get easier, it just gets harder. You know, Baines 3549. Callum, I hope you're doing all right, mate. Sorry to hear. I know you were saying that you're struggling and I feel you, believe me. I fucking do. Um, Greg Belt was talking to us about the limestone he wants to put in the garden and make it the most Irish garden in the state of Washington, anyway, if not the whole of the US. And salute you for that, Greg. And Cynthia, I hope you're doing well as well. And yeah, I just hope you are all doing well, guys. I'm just annoyed because things that I was doing and taking for granted that I've built up a tolerance to over the years are getting me down now. I'm not feeling any benefit whatsoever from the medication that I've been put on. I can safely say that, none whatsoever. My blood pressure is still sky high and I'm only young. And I think that's a build up of things, really, from dismissive doctors thinking that, because I feel negative side effects of medication, that's my fault. Then they're going to prescribe me statins, which I don't want to take because they're shit, they wear down your bones and are terrible for you. And my blood pressure, yeah, it would be high to begin with, but it'd be high because of the stress that I'm under and the stress of daily life. stress of worrying about everybody else, and that's something that I don't think ever gets appreciated, really. It just really gets me down. My mum really annoyed me today. I was just like, just give over for a fucking second, will you? Can we hurry up and get the shop done? I'm not in the mood for any bullshit. I didn't want to go in the first place, but I didn't complain. I just went and I shut up and I carried on like everything was normal, but I'm not doing well. They keep telling me go to a therapist, and I don't think that's going to help. I've been before. What the therapist always ends up doing is making me feel inadequate, making me feel like I'm making a mountain out of a molehill. Anytime I try and go into anything that makes my parents look bad, what they always do is they say, well, your mom was probably scared of your dad, or try to see it from their point of view. And I'm like, that's not why I come here. And I can't say that to my fucking family, because then I have to tell them exactly why I don't want to go and see a therapist. I feel like I don't feel heard. I don't feel like they ever listen. I don't feel like they care. There's some of them that have helped me, like the counsellors in college. When I went to college, did help me. They helped me stay on track for sure, and helped me get more outgoing. Especially Ashley. Big shout out to Ashley O'Brien of IT Tala, or TUD as it is now. She made me into the extroverted delight that you see before you today. That's not my natural state of being, though. This person you see here, I would not be able to do this if not for her. So huge credit to her. And she's definitely fit for purpose, because in terms of getting me involved in college and keeping me going, I would not have been able for it without her. And then Geraldine Roach and Gary Toner of the disability office in there. The supports that were in place did help me. I didn't need them that often. Not necessarily, counselling, yes, as often as I could. The disability office, there were occasions where I was in there more often, but whenever I go to talk to anyone about the shit that bothers me from being a kid, they're so dismissive. You know what I mean? It's always, well, nobody's perfect. Your mom was probably scared of your dad. She wasn't. If anyone wore trousers in that relationship, it was her. But there were times where she didn't defend me and she should have done, and I do love her to bits, but she pisses me off when she is dismissive. And I just think at times like that, and I think how upset I am. And then it's conflicting, because I feel ungrateful because I love her, I do. And then I feel like, well, I shouldn't be thinking this, but I am. You know what I mean? And I have anger towards my dad for how he treated me, all the put downs and the lack of empathy. The constant tension that was always in the house that both my parents deny. My brother doesn't. My brother knows exactly what I'm talking about, but them being called selfish when all I do is care about other people. My needs come after everybody else's. I don't put myself first in any scenario, really. Get called a high conflict person when I fucking hate conflict. I have a very hard time standing up for myself on a daily basis. But I know you have to, or people will just keep taking and taking until you've got nothing left to give. Because there was a time where I couldn't speak up for myself. I couldn't verbalize how I was feeling. And it all stems from being a kid and what happened. And I think that's important to note. And I think I want this video to reach as many people as possible. And I haven't done an autism specific video, but I think I should do it for this, because the advice that we are given if we want to conform to society is bullshit. I'm proof. I'm living proof. I'm only 27 and I've pushed and pushed as hard as I fucking can. And I've high blood pressure, I've hypertension. Ever since I was a kid, I've always gotten blood pressure so high that I could feel my pulse in my head. And doctors said that's normal. And I'm like, well, how many other people feel that? And then I talked to my mum, who has had high blood pressure. My brother, well, my brother has gotten that before, but my friends, and they don't get it. So it's not normal. I've got that since I was little. Then I say to my doctor, I was terrified of having a heart attack when I was only 24 or something. And he goes, "Ah, don't be ridiculous. You're too young. You're not going to have a heart attack at your age." How the fuck do you know? You do not know that. You don't know what I'm after taking, potentially. You don't know my genetics. You don't seem bothered by it either, if I'm being perfectly honest. And these are ones that you've seen since you were a kid. That's not helpful at all. And then going to a psychiatrist and you see a different person every time. So they're going over, "Oh, you're on this medication." I'm like, "No, it's this." And then, "Oh, well, you have to fucking remind them." It's like, where's the fucking accountability for them? And I'm not shitting all over them. Well, I am kind of, but I don't want to shit all over anyone. But where is the fucking responsibility for the doctors? They say how hard working they are and how overworked they are. And I don't doubt that, but that doesn't excuse you. You still have to do your job. You still have to give me the duty of care. And I am a very reasonable person. Very reasonable. I'm like, I understand if you've got an issue. I understand you're worked off your feet. Yeah. But you owe it to me to listen to what I'm saying to you and not just dismiss me all the time. Say, "Oh, more medication. That's not working. Oh, here's another pill." And then if I say that it's not working or it makes me feel like shit, why is that my fault? Refuses medication and they're writing away and they're in the dictaphone saying something. I can't fucking cope right now. It's very fucking difficult. I'm trying and I'm fucking trying and I can't give much more. And the pills that I'm on now mean that I'm not getting out of bed until 11, you sometimes midday, 12. And if I wake up any earlier than that, and I have, and I've tried getting up early, I feel like dog shit. you know, my brother gave a great description before, and I was like, that sums up exactly how I'm feeling. He said that he felt like a kicked wet bag of dog shit. Sorry, I'm just getting nah, all good. He said he felt like a kicked wet bag of dog shit, and I was like, I know exactly how you feel, or thereabouts. But when he started getting very anxious, you know, his method was, "I feel like I'm having a panic attack. I can't go in, avoid. I need to avoid the place." That was his go to. And me saying, "I know how you feel," was taken as me saying that I was worse than him. And I was like, "No, I understand how you feel. I've lived with this since I was a fucking child. This is my existence every day. I'm not making this a competition. I'm saying I know how you feel, and here's how you get over it, or at least manage it. You know, like I hate some of the stuff I see written about me in medical forms, and I talked through them before. I didn't want to get showed because of personal numbers and details that are on it. It says poor conflict resolution skills. I have handled conflict brilliantly, whereas family members of mine are terrible at dealing with conflict. They don't do it, or they put all the blame on me. There's been many occasions where my mum has screamed and shouted at me, but she won't give out to a stranger when they're clearly in the wrong. Adults speaking to me like I was a piece of shit and I was only a child, and she allowed it to happen. She didn't intervene. She didn't do anything. Telling someone not to kick my seat because they were violating my rights, which they were. I know it sounds a bit dramatic, but that's someone wronging you. And my dad telling me to shut up and stop making a fuss and stop being a moany prick. And I'm like, no, what's wrong with telling someone you're pissing me off, stop kicking my seat? And he's like, "No, I have to deal with this. Good job." So every time I try and stand up for myself, I have this feeling of, "Oh, now I have to deal with this. Now you're making it all about you. You're just being difficult. You're just being a mess. Hush, hush now. Be quiet in the corner." Like, ever since I was little, lots of people gave me shit and started attacking me. And I mean attacking. And instead of sitting there and taking it, I fought back. I can remember as when I was very young and I didn't, some kid just went for me and started trying to drag me onto the ground, scraping at my face because I was bigger and stronger than him. He couldn't pull me onto the ground. Then he fell over and then started crying. And then I fell on top of him and we were both brought into the office and it was always made a mutual thing. It was always blaming me because I was the big kid who was causing trouble. I was always labelled as an angry kid. I was anxious as fuck. People were picking on me, and I had to defend myself because nobody else was. Nobody did. All my dad ever said to me was, "Grow a thicker skin. I can't fight all your battles for you. You're gonna have to do it yourself." And then he would shame me by saying, "You're a big lad. Deal with it yourself. Look at the size you. What are you crying about? What are you crying for?" I never went out of my way to be violent with people, but they would push me, and then I'd get to the fucking breaking point and I'd snap. And they fucking deserved it. I find it very dismissive what's written by doctors, especially that report that was sent to the psychiatrist here in Wexford. Poor conflict resolution skills. Well, I didn't fucking learn any, did I? I had to learn them all myself. Didn't pick them up from my family. I learned what not to do. Blame your kids, but then cower in the corner. Yes, sir, no, sir, and all that crap. I've dealt with conflict on many occasions and done it very well without screaming and shouting at people. People who were treating me like a piece of shit, talking down to me, being very rude to me. So I want to look at that for a second. Poor conflict resolution skills. Well, I've had a customer screaming at me, saying he taking the piss and getting very aggressive with me just because I asked him to leave because he wasn't buying anything in the shop. And then I said, just leave calmly. My manager stood by idly and did nothing. She just stood there and watched and then said afterwards, he was very rude to you. Oh, yeah, no shit. Some fucking help you were. But I didn't say that because I didn't want an argument in the workplace. Because I always try to get along with people that I work with. But some of them think that they can take their problems out on you. And the moment you say anything back, you're the worst in the world. I've been spoken to like a piece of shit before, many occasions. And when I finally say something back, because I'll bite my tongue most of the time. But when I knew I was being treated wrong and unfairly, I said it and I was like, no, 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 I'm not fucking having that. And I was seen as being aggressive and argumentative because someone who was well able to give it all that walked away from me after accusing me of being lazy and not doing anything. And I said, hold on a second now, don't walk off from me like that. That was seen as following her and being aggressive. But it's okay for her to do it with me. She was always very pleasant with customers, very, always over the top. But then she'd take out her problems on me because I was an easy target. I'm a big lad, so you need to grow a thicker skin. You can't be sensitive. You have to not complain. She was always on my fucking case. But when I said something to her, when I tried actually saying it and I thought I thought I did it in a very good way. I said to her, I have Asperger's. What's that? Is that a type of autism? I said, yes, it is. She didn't treat me any better. She still treated me badly. The only difference was she brought me in and had a chat with me because I brought it up with her and I wasn't taking it from her. And she said, don't take it personally. That doesn't mean you get to treat me like shit again, which she fucking did. So then my thinking was, I've been reasonable with you now. Do not accuse me of not doing my job when I have. She'd make little jibes like, oh, you're early, you're never early. And I was like, well, I am today. What's your fucking point? What are you trying to get at here? Just having a little go for everything. And people are great at doing that. Another manager who bit my fucking head off for saying, yeah, sure. Yeah, I was in, yeah, sure, no problem. And he just turned to me and went, what do you mean, am I sure? And then I said, what are you saying? I was like, no, I'm saying, yeah, sure, no problem. And then he was like, oh, yeah, sure. And then walked off and was complaining about me behind my back because I was saying, it's like, if he says, yeah, sure, one more time, I'll fucking snap or something. And I was like, what's your fucking problem? You know what I mean? Like, I was amazed. I was like, whoa, where the fuck did that come from? You know? And I don't think I was being unreasonable. He was. The toilet in work looked terrible many times, and nothing was ever said, or at least if it was done very subtly. And then I got a bit of water on it, and he called me out in front of everybody and tried to embarrass me. And I said, you're fucking lying because that's not true. And then when I brought that up with him, he was like, come and show me then. I was like, I fucking told you. He was like, why didn't you just say that? I was like, I fucking did. Like, why are you calling me out in front of the shop and trying to humiliate me? What's your fucking problem? And this is after building and building. People are like, oh, you got to stand up for yourself. Then when you fucking do, you're the worst in the world. But there's people who are well able to give it back like that. They don't think about it. They just snap at everyone and they're allowed. You know, seeing a fella screaming at my brother in a garage. My auntie was coming out with me, literally came out just after me. She stayed in and didn't go out, she backed off. Whether that's because she saw me going out, I don't know. But either way, she chose to avoid. Whereas I saw my brother in need because some prick was screaming at him. I did not want to go out there. My instinct was avoid this because it's stressful. You don't want to deal with it. But I was like, he needs me. He was kind of pleading his case and apologising. That's kind of his go to. But I was like, no, fuck this guy. And he started whinging that his car door had been bumped into by my little cousins. And I said, it's fine. There's nothing wrong here. Very calm. Because I said to myself, stay here for a sec, take a deep breath, and now go out and assess. And that's what I did. And I recommend anyone do the same because it gives good results. Take a moment if you can, if it's not immediate, Because often what I find happens is I'm caught off guard by events. This fucking thing is tense and the fucking arm off me. Getting a dead arm right now. Probably need to calm down, but and we breathe again. But I I said, what's the problem? And he said, oh, they're after smashing the car door off my door. And I said, well, your door is fine. And then I was like, you want to calm the fuck down. He actually said to me that he actually said to me to calm down. You'd want to calm down, son. I was like, me? Are you fucking for real? You're the one screaming at a bunch of little girls. Big man, yeah. So you're telling me to calm down. You're the one roaring at children. I think you're a bit of a fucking hypocrite. And his wife just kept apologising. And I was like, nah, it's okay. He's a prick. You should just leave him. My brother even admitted that I dealt with that situation very well. And I think that's a sign of courage because I did not want to deal with him. I did not want to do anything there. I wanted to avoid that situation. I fucking hate dealing with people in general. And yet I chose to do it on someone else's behalf. And I did it very fucking well. So when doctors say things like poor conflict resolution skills, give me a fucking example of someone who deals with it well because I haven't seen anyone. I see people who take it up the arse or scream at people, and usually people who take it up the arse scream at people who are convenient to scream at, like someone who is their junior in a job, someone new to the job who relies on them for training. And that's what I've experienced, you know. An apprentice, say, in a construction site, is a very easy target. Someone who's new in a kitchen, like say a kitchen porter, which I've also worked as, when there's chefs and sous chefs and all, it's easy to take your anger out on the kitchen porter or someone who's not as experienced as you because you're there longer, you're a more senior member of staff, and the other person doesn't know the lay of the land as well as you do. So they're reliant and dependent on you for advice and training. And you fucking know this, you know, and that's what really pisses me off is I see people doing it and they're doing it because it's convenient. They're taking their anger out on the most convenient member of staff, but they know if they did that with a member of the public, they wouldn't take it. And I'm not fucking taking it anymore. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of people thinking they can take their anger out on me, but then going behind my back complaining when I defend myself. You know, doctors do not see me. They don't care about me really, and yet they say, "Oh, poor conflict resolution." How do you fucking know? You haven't seen me. You know, the fact that I haven't ripped a lot of people's heads off is actually very good. I hold it all in until I fucking snap. You know, I think people are talking about me behind my back and insomnia. I don't go up and rip their heads off and say, "What the fuck are you all saying about me?" I go, "No, look, I'm autistic. If I come across as a bit blunt, I'm not trying to be. It's just the way I am." And they smile and say, "No problem. You're not that bad at all." And I'm like, "Perfect. Amicable. All amicable." And I'm not scared of them. You know, I'm not afraid that they're going to rip my head off or whatever. I'm afraid. I don't know. I think it's a primal thing of not making a fuss, or like my dad said to me, stop making a show of me. You know, embarrassing someone who's not even there. You know, it's just a fear that I have a block. It's paralyzing, and it makes me feel really guilty because I feel like such a coward and a pussy because I tense up, my shoulders go up like that, my neck gets really tight, and I'm starting seeing me doing that. By the way, I'm very nervous. And it's taking a fucking toll. Like I feel guilty because in a rugby game, a few lads who played under 19s with my brother were saying stuff to him, you know. They were just kind of saying, "Oh, what happened to you?" or "Where did you head off there?" And I thought it was banter. I thought he got on well with them. You know, everybody tells me they get on well with each other, and then all of a sudden I'm thinking, "Oh, is that too much? Should I intervene? Should I not?" I'm second guessing myself in fucking every situation all the fucking time, and it's fucking exhausting. You know, then afterwards it eats me up with guilt. And in reality, I had just tried to kill myself a month and a half previously to that. I shouldn't have even been out there. But did I get any help? No. I just carried on like normal. I used to feel a sense of I'm going to get somewhere here. I used to feel hopeful when I went to the doctor. Now I just feel like another fucking day, another doctor. No result, no hope. And I don't feel like they really care. Um, and I feel like I've burnt myself out more than I've ever burnt myself out. I've got nothing left in reserves. You know, before the new year, like I was in work and I was shouting back at the kids saying, "Have some fucking respect, you know, behave." I was correcting them and I was taking stuff off them if they didn't behave. At the start of the year, I walked in and I was just like, "You know what? I've got no energy here. I've got absolutely nothing to give. I haven't the fucking wherewithal to shout or roar at them. I can't be dealing with this. It's too much, and I have no energy left in my reserves. So somebody else can deal with that because I'm not fucking dealing with it. I've nothing left to give, you know." And now I am not the type to say something like I'm too good to do that job, but I have a fucking level 8 honours degree, and the best job that I can get is sweeping a fucking playground and picking up dead rats and sparrows in a fucking dodgy lane, being talked down to by a bunch of entitled fucking kids. primary school kids talking down to me like I'm a piece of shit. My mum was saying this to me, and I do agree with her on it. I think I am better than that. I don't feel like I should have to do that, given all the work that I have put in. And that's no disrespect to people that work with kids, but the reason I went to university as I was and studied so hard is so that I could avoid shit like this. And I've gone through every different channel that I could. You know, I worked hard. I did not complain. I put the head down and I said, well, you can't be soft. Nobody else is going to do this degree for you. I worked throughout college as well. I tried to play rugby, which everybody kept encouraging me to do, kept demanding from me, even though I couldn't give anything. I couldn't give anything. People would say that they were injured or they were away and then that'd be fine. But it was always, oh, but Dan will play. And I was like, well, what if I can't play? And I was hounded and harassed if I said no. They kept on hounding me because they knew that I had such a tough time saying no. And I was always told to just keep pushing. And that's what's led me to where I'm at now. Do not fucking listen to that. If there's any piece of advice that I want you to take away from this rant, and it is a fucking rant, listen to your gut. And if you're not enjoying something, stop. If you think about it for a while, one good thing that my granddad Liam, RIP, one thing that he said that actually made sense. He talked a lot of shit, but have a meeting with yourself. It actually is a good piece of advice because sit down with yourself. I don't recommend you think deeply about everything all the time, but I recommend that you sit down and think, is this what I want to do? Am I enjoying it? And if the answer is no, give up. People do not recommend giving up because giving up is weak. It's not manly. Giving up is the easy option. There's lots of things I should have given up that I didn't. Out of some false sense of pride, out of some, I can't even fucking speak. I'm not making this shit up. This fucking thing is proof that I'm not making shit up. At least now with some physical ailment, people can't say that I'm making anything up. In case anyone's wondering, that's decaf. And not having the real stuff. You're gonna have to cut down on fizzy drinks as well. I did cut down. I did quite well, and then I didn't. Do love them too much. But even going to the shop, simple stuff is too much for me right now. You know, and I can't help but think that I was looking forward to the Six Nations this time last year. Rugby Jackal, it's coming soon. I'm going to make a video on that. But I was hopeful. Last year, I was hopeful. There were a lot of things I was hopeful for. If I just sat on my arse and did not take any opportunities that were given to me, I completely understand if everybody said, you know what, you're your own worst enemy. It's your fault and that's it. And I'd be like, yeah, fair enough. But I haven't done that. You know, straight out of college, straight after finishing university in a hard fought degree, I went and I worked. And I didn't work in a job that was suitable for my degree. I worked in a chipper, a takeaway. And you didn't get proper lunch breaks. As with everything, you're overworked and you're not paid enough. The guy was sound though; he did pay reasonably well, in fairness. But then I started taking medication, and medication was giving me migraines, was making me dizzy, giving me headaches, causing me gastrointestinal trouble. But of course, that's my fault, isn't it? It's not. That's not the medication. That's you. I've tried 4 different SSRIs now, then clonidine, cataprase, and propranolol for my heart. They make me feel like fucking shit, and I'm not making that up. Let's just look at how capable I was before going on this stuff. Like I was working full weeks, doing proper shifts. I was doing night shifts and everything. In a pharmaceutical company, traveling 2 hours each way, going to the gym, I lost weight. I've taken this stuff and I'm after gaining loads of weight already, you know. Every single SSRI except for Prozac. The only reason I didn't gain weight on Prozac is because I was the opposite way. I was bulimic and I couldn't eat, and I was making myself sick. Like, I'm not making this shit up. I have tried so fucking hard. And I thought, like, people say they just work harder than everybody else, and that's why they are where they are. Not necessarily, you know. I proved that pushing through and persevering does not always get you what you want. Now, I did get my university degree because I worked hard and I pushed through, yes. You know, I wouldn't have gotten that if I didn't. But there are years of stress and it's taken its fucking toll. It really fucking has, you know. It's all culminated in this moment now of not looking after myself, of being chronically stressed. And I'm only young, you know. There's just always been something. It's not one thing, it's another. And then there's other issues, you know, like when we moved down here, being very nervous that my mom was going to be ripped off, and then saying to her, I will help you out any way you need. And she didn't take me up on that. And then she said that she felt like the previous owners of the house ripped her off. So I went and I had a word with them. And she gave out to me for that. And one thing she said that really annoyed me was that one of our current neighbours doesn't look at her or smile or wave anymore. And I don't know why she's bothered by that, because she never made an effort with her. You know, I kept saying, oh, yeah, she said pop over for a cup of tea or say hello, or she'll pop over to us. She never took her up on that offer. And yet she's worried, you know. She didn't say her, and it got, because she didn't make any effort and because she was indoors and not going out at all, really. Our neighbour even made a joke that I thought, your kid's buried you under the patio. She started laughing. But yet she's worried because she doesn't wave or smile. I was looking out for you and you never even saw them anyway. You didn't make any effort with them. Why do you fucking care? You know what I mean? It's like, so I looked out for you. I came from a good place and you're giving out to me because someone who you didn't make any effort with or ever see won't smile or wave at you. Don't fucking get that. And then I'm being selfish for confronting my brother's bully, you know. It's all from a selfish place, apparently, according to them. I did not want to confront him. I felt obliged to do it because the anger that was in me. I was like, you fucking know what you did, you know. So I felt he needed to know. So I barged into him and was like, you fucking remember what you did? And I'd seen him previous to that and I hadn't said anything. And I was like, no, no fucking chance. I just thought my brother was being soft before, and then he told me what really happened. And like, because it's so many of my own issues, I wasn't a great older brother, and I did feel like once I was capable of, I should have looked out for him. And whenever I saw anything going on, like I did do something. I saw a fella who was calling them names. I told him to fuck off. You know, I started saying something back to him. You know, because he thought he was the big man. He was slagging off my brother, and I went up to him and said, "Shut your fucking mouth." Another fella took something from my brother, and he was so. I said to him, "You can't be this weak and give stuff to people, or they'll keep taking it from you." And I said, "Give it back." You know, when I put my hand down, I went up to your man and I backed him into a corner and said, "Give it to me now." And he did. And I have a tough time advocating for myself, but I did that on behalf of someone else. brought him out for lunch with me all the time, and he used to just keep demanding. He'd ask me for money for food, I'd give it to him, and he'd go, "Ah, what? That's not enough for a drink." And I was like, "Are you for fucking real?" And yeah, I probably didn't react very well. I probably overreacted and said the wrong thing, but I was really pissed off at him because at that stage he was home all the time. He withdrew from school, did not go in for a year, and the house was never clean. And I kind of felt, you could have done something. And so I'd call him names and kind of do what my dad did to me and shame him, man, which was wrong. But it's like, I buy these things for you so you can help us out and actually do some cleaning in the house, do your part. Everything seems to get used against me, and I get told that I don't appreciate what they're going through, and I have no empathy for what they're going through. But they don't seem to empathise that I'm doing an awful lot as well. They don't seem to empathise how much fucking stress I feel every day just doing simple things. They say that they can read me or they know what I'm feeling. No, they fucking don't, because if they did, they'd realise how unwell I am. And I'm not staying on this medication for any longer than I need to. I'm coming off and I'm already tapering off. They keep using these terms, titrating down, all this crap. Doesn't fucking work. I've talked about SSRIs a lot. They're poison. They're absolute poison. Cynthia Wells, you've said it very well. You said it's like a band aid for a bullet hole, a bullet wound. It's shit. Instead of actually delving into your problem and saying, look, we'll get you some help for that, they don't listen. The medical profession, they don't. Therapists are not great either. There's always a lot more empathy and sympathy for parents than there should be. And I'm kind of like, look, yeah, it's not easy being a parent, but I am here to see you. I'm not here for you to empathise with my parent or just feel very let down in a lot of ways. And my mum keeps giving out to me that I don't say what I need to say in the doctors, and I'm like, getting anything in with them is a challenge. I try my fucking best. I don't, it takes every strength that I have just to show up, just to make every appointment, and to get as much as I can out. And then I have so much more that I want to say, and I never have the time to say it. Right now, I just want to curl up in the fucking bed and go nowhere. I have not got the energy to deal with people's bullshit. Just people being so fucking ignorant all the time, driving the wrong side of the road and coming at you and expecting you to move because they need to be somewhere. Or, trying to barge in front of you somewhere and not holding the door open for you when they should. And just being so fucking ignorant, you know. And I find myself always having to go, oh, they might just be having a bad day. What about me? I'm having a fucking bad day. I don't buy this crap. They're just having a bad day, or they try to see it from their point of view. Why don't they try and see it from my point of view? I'm having a fucking good day. I'm anxious as fuck, and I'm still trying not to let my problems affect everybody else. My brother screamed at me the other day because he was dozing off inside the car. And the cat's eyes near the wall and the M50 if you're in Ireland. Jackal, you probably do. But he was drifting into it, and I said, careful, you're going to crash the fucking car, you're going off the cat's eyes. And he was like, don't tell me how to fucking drive, I'm a better driver than you and all this stuff. And I was like, that's not my point. I know when a fucking car feels like it's about to crash. You don't have to be a good driver to know that. But that's same as me being bossy and telling them what to do. Like, I feel like it's one way for them and one way for me. Because they see things eye to eye with each other, they're able to go, the way I react is wrong, because they would choose to back into a corner and do nothing, whereas I would choose, despite not wanting to, I might add, to push through and go, no, I'm not taking that from you. And I'd say something. That doesn't mean that my way is wrong and their way is right. Just because they see things from each other's point of view does not make my way wrong automatically. And they fail to put themselves in my shoes. Like when you find out that actually the fella who was picking on my brother was giving him a hard time, was taking stuff, it wasn't just verbal, there was physical stuff as well. And he wanted to kill himself and didn't want to go into school. And I didn't know this. So this was my first time finding out the true extent of it. When I saw him, and this is another thing, my mum was very bad at putting herself in my shoes and empathising, very unempathetic, especially considering I saw him at a grad Ireland. So my brother has nearly lost his life, has regressed in years hugely, put on a lot of weight, and has had to have a monumental task with therapy and battling demons in his head. And this fucker's planning his future, laughing with his mates. She was not able to see that the anger that I fucking felt. I have no regrets about doing that whatsoever. I would not take it back. I wish I'd done it sooner, to be honest. You know, the only guilt I feel is that I didn't confront them sooner. I have no regrets about doing that whatsoever. And was it to make myself feel a bit better? Yeah, sure. But not 100%. And I kept trying to bring this point up. If I did not give a fuck about you, why would I care what he did to you? Simple, isn't it? I think it is. Maybe you could tell me what I did wrong, and if anyone has any thoughts or advice on that. Personally, I feel I did nothing wrong. Rationally, yeah, I was thinking he asked you to say nothing, so don't say anything. But we all know emotions are more powerful than rationality. This thing's beeping, so one sec, but it's straight in the air now. I was not thinking rationally, and emotions took over. And I was like, I want him to fucking know the damage that he's done to my brother. I want him to know the hurt that he caused. And I was almost hoping he'd get confrontational with me so I had an excuse to give him a dig or something. He didn't. FYI, he backed off and was very apologetic and showed me the open palms. I can't do my other arm because it's getting tensed up. Well, I was kind of taken aback by the fact that he didn't attack at all. Now, whether that was out of respect or fear, I don't know. Maybe a bit of both. But he did apologise and he said he respected me for coming up to him and saying it. And I was like, all right, what do you mean, Darren? I don't fucking know. But I don't regret doing it. I don't regret it at all. And I think he could see how angry I was and he could see the hurt in me. And this is coming from someone who, like, I have a lot of my own shit as well. It would be very easy for me to go, I have my own shit and that's it. All I care about is myself. Because God knows I've enough fucking shit to deal with on a daily basis, but I didn't. I chose to put someone else before me, and that's why I got angry. Like, I faced a lot of shit in school as well. I had people constantly saying stuff about me behind my back, saying rumours about me, trying to have me beaten up. That was a constant worry on my mind. I was always looking over my shoulder. I had people constantly trying to put me down and, wind me up. It's a good one. Put me down, wind me up. Sounds like a song, doesn't it? I'm patenting that shit. But I know a lot of people, because a lot of people did, a lot of people would have withdrawn from school altogether if they'd faced just a fraction of what I faced. And I know that sounds very self aggrandizing, but when I say it was a daily occurrence that someone would shout a name at me, it was. There was never a day where someone wouldn't call me a name. And because there were so many people doing it, there weren't enough hours in the day to fight all the people that were saying it. And they knew this. That's the thing. This was a tactic. Because if I heard someone or someone said something to my face, I would confront them about it. But when it's said behind your back and rumours are spread and you can't pinpoint who's doing it, that's even worse because then you're just like, oh, everybody thinks this. And that's when it really starts to depress you and get you down because you're like, everybody believes this about me. It must be true. I must be as worthless as they think I am. And it fucked me up, you know. A lot of times I would have just rather that people had a fight with me and then at least that way I could go, we've had it out now and physical pain is a lot better than the constant anxiety and fear that you feel. You know, that something may happen, but it never does. And then you look back on it and you think, why didn't I do something about it? But sure, people who get taken advantage of sexually don't do anything about it. And you're kind of there thinking, Jesus, I can only imagine how guilty they feel, you know, if this is how guilty I feel over something this small. I also just never really experienced much loyalty, you know. One thing that I hate myself for is I feel like I wasn't a very loyal friend. You know, I feel like I should have been a more loyal friend. But then I thought to myself, anyone who has shown me loyalty, I've always had their back. And people who haven't, and people who've just been a fair with a friend, as you call it, and there's been a lot, you know, a lot of people that just used me when it was convenient. I didn't feel obliged to do anything for them. And, you know, not only did they not do anything for me, but they would actively join the person who was putting me down and join in with them. So then I'm kind of like, fuck them, you know. And the more and more I think about it, the less guilt I feel because it's kind of like they don't deserve my help. They don't deserve my empathy because a lot of times they were just friends with me because they were cowardly. You know, they weren't doing it out of a good place. They'd side with me whenever someone louder and more extroverted came along. You hear that fucking thing tightening up. A fella that I considered a child long, you know, a childhood friend, you know, grew up in the same state as me. He came back over Christmas. He's living in London now, and he never made any effort to see me. There was no suggestion of meeting up, and I purposely didn't say let's meet up. I was like, let him do it. That's one thing that I'm doing now. So I'm calm. Other people can make the effort. I don't always have to make the effort because that's been the way for far too long. They can make the fucking effort if they want to see me, and he never did. I'd invite him out for New Year's Eve, Christmas, and whatever, and he'd say, "I'll see what I'm doing." Basically, someone better came along, and if they don't, well then yeah, maybe I'll stick with you, but otherwise, nah. And I was like, at least I know where I stand. Cheers. I won't fucking be doing that anymore. You know, I put everybody before me. That's the thing. You know, another thing that stupid psychiatric assessment said was narcissistic traits because I make these videos. You know, that's apparently a sign that I'm a full blown fucking narcissist. Do I want them to do well? Yeah, of course. But to be honest with you, it's the only real source of joy for me at the moment. And I know that these fucking bills are dragging me down and making me less capable. But they're going to say, oh yeah, you've high blood pressure now because of these fucking pills, which do increase cholesterol. which in turn creates hypertension, high blood pressure. But of course, whenever you blame the pills, it's no, 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 no. We'll give you another pill instead. And having eight different or seven, I think we came to, yeah, seven different psychiatrists here in Wexford. They're always looking at my file and thinking, I put you on this medication, but this person put you on another one. And they have to keep picking through a book and then they can't read the handwriting. And they're like, why were you put on this medication with that medication? And I'm like, you fucking tell me, you're the doctor. Do you know what I mean? It's like, how the fuck am I supposed to know? You prescribed it for me because one medication was giving me high blood pressure. Then I have to take a stimulant because the antidepressant that I'm on, mirtazapine, is making it very hard for me in the mornings. It's making it difficult for me to get out of bed and function. And I've said this to my GP as well, and she's just like, "Oh, you have to give the medication time." Over half a year is plenty of fucking time. It's actually 7 months now exactly since I started taking mirtazapine. Tell me what it's fucking doing because I'm still getting panic attacks. My blood pressure is sky fucking high. It's very high. It's the highest it's ever been. Tell me what good it's doing because I'm not drinking alcohol. I'm not drinking as much fizzy drinks as I used to drink at all. You know, really, I used to drink so much and I shouldn't be drinking any, but you've got to have something, you know. I'm cutting down on this. I used to have 5 cups every day. Now I'm having, I used to have, that's right, five. Now I'm having about three, maybe two. I've only had two today. The food, like the diet, is something I need to watch. I usually get my five a day, but it's the quantity of food that I eat as well, you know. But there's always an air of dismissal about it, like when I said to the GP that I see with, yeah, but how often would you do that? And I was like, nearly every day. And I was like, year round. And I was like, yeah. It's like, oh, they just assume things about you. They assume you're incapable. They assume you're not making any effort, making a lot of fucking effort. And this is someone who struggles once they leave the house, you know. I struggle going into the shop, but I do it every week because I have to. You know, I struggle just communicating with people back and forth, but I fucking do it. And right now I feel less capable. So this medication that's designed to help me out, how the fuck is it helping me? If I'm not able to function, I'm getting more panic attacks. I'm not able to convey a message to people, you know, like I feel less capable of standing up for myself right now, which I don't like. I feel like I will just give in to people and let them do what they want. But luckily, there's not enough situations like that. You know, like the man whose dog attacked Alfie. When I confronted him, I was very angry because he was dismissing me, and then we came to an agreement. The thought of confronting him, even though he's not a very intimidating man, and I'm not afraid of him, but the thought of confronting him gives me panic attacks. I'm like, if he's down here and I have to say something to him, my heart's beating like a rabbit in a drum. You know, I'm really anxious about this, and I'm just like, oh, I hope he's not here today. My thought isn't, and here's something I want to convey now. My thought isn't, I hope this fella's here so I can have a go with him. My thought is, I really hope he's not here so I don't have to say anything or not say anything and feel like a complete fucking pussy when I'm unable to confront him. You know, and I've tried standing up for myself and advocating for myself, and it never gets easier. I still have to work up all this courage and energy just to say something to somebody because there was a time where I was selectively mute, where I could communicate with my family and nobody else. Teacher'd say something, or a doctor or someone in my class would say something. I was like, couldn't make eye contact. That is my natural state of being. I only want to be with my family. I don't like talking to strangers. I don't like dealing with people I don't know. And I have suppressed the fuck out of that. That's gone way down. I've just suppressed all that because I've had to stand up for myself. I was portrayed as an angry kid when someone hit me with a stick 4 times, quoted by my mum. while she was watching, and I attacked him. Tell me what sane person wouldn't do that, because it was seen as me on top of him punching him in the face. He had pushed and pushed. He followed me up to my house, antagonised me, and I gave him a punch. He deserved it. And I would encourage any child to do the same. But I felt so guilty. I felt like, oh my God, I'm such a bad human being. Guilt and shame. I am the problem, you know. I'm the one with anger management issues. Yet people are allowed to antagonise me and they're not seeing us having a problem. They're okay. It's me that has the problem. And most people joined in, most people ganged up and were against me. You know, I'm just going to say it as it is. You know, a lot of people chose to antagonise me instead of stick up for me. And pretty much all my family did not care. They did not defend me. So I had to do that myself. And what that led to was being an arsehole, quite frankly, to a lot of people because I felt like, fuck you all. You can all eat my shit. And yet, despite all that, a kid that I gave a hard time to, when I could see the hurt and pain that was being caused by me and by other people, knowing how that felt, feeling that way, and I knew he was suicidal. Despite the way I was conditioned, I still could see how much that poor fellow was hurting, and I was like, "Are you all right?" And instead of picking on him, then I was like, "I need to stop doing this shit." And I asked him, "Was he okay?" And there was even a fella in our year who did MMA, like, you know, he was a tough fucker and he would have beaten the living daylights out of me now if I'd gotten into a fight with him. But he said something hurtful to your man. I said, "Are you okay? Do you want me to say something?" He was like, "No, no, thanks for offering, but it's okay." And I was like, "No bother, it's okay." I went up to a teacher and I made sure to have a word with him and see if your man was okay before he left the school, so he didn't go off and kill himself, you know. And don't get me wrong, like there are some ways I behaved, especially during that period, that I'm appalled by. And I think that was not right, you know. But I reached out to so many people and I said, sorry, the way I treated you was not right. And I am genuinely sorry for it. And they said, look, although I hate you in school, but I really appreciate this. And that's good to know. And I don't blame them because it was well deserved, you know. Don't go feeling sorry for me. Very few, if any, reached out to me, you know. Me and my brother were kind of on our own, you know, we were fair game. We're big lads, so we should be able to take it. And we'd no one in our corner. So very lonely place to be. And when no one cares, no one wants to hear you, they just see a big fella attacking someone, not someone defending themselves. And in many ways, being a big sound fella, a lot of lads don't start on me or they don't give me a hard time now because they see that I'm a big fella, but I'm not throwing my weight around. They can have a laugh. And they've said it to me and they're like, you know, it's nice that you're a big fella, but you're sound and you have a laugh. And those usually work in my favour. You know, having a beer with them when I did drink, of course. There are times where I miss it, believe me, especially when you're dealing with the reality of how, as I say, how fucking rude some people are. They need to be screamed at now, but try and bite my tongue. There's a lot of shit that eats me up inside, you know, and has led to this bad boy being put in my arm. I'm just very fucking tired. My latest video was talking about John Candy and Chevy Chase and Grandad Peter, Grandad Liam. Took another one for him. But John Candy literally had the weight of the world on his shoulders and on his midsection, and took him very young because he was looking after everybody else, trying to please everybody else. And there was a great line in that where one of his friends said, "They'll keep taking. When you're in Hollywood, they will just keep taking." Because, and Macaulay Culkin was really emotional hearing from him because all the shit that he's been through. And he said his dad was a bastard and both his parents were quite abusive towards him. And he said John Candy on the set of Uncle Buck was like, "Are you all right, kid? Are you okay? How are you getting on?" And I'm even getting chills down my back as I'm hearing it. But he said he was like that father figure looking after him and could see when he wasn't feeling great and was like, "Are you okay?" And I imagine that was something he'd never heard. Well, it wasn't never heard by him before because the poor fella had such a hard life. It's still freaky because he still looks like Kevin McAllister. It's just with stubble and got very little hands as well. Poor fella had a difficult life, though, in fairness. But it is something that I look at and I think of my granddad Peter and all the people that he looked out for and everybody loved him. But he was taken at 64. John Candy was only 43. And I do kind of see myself in them, and I think that's a good thing. But I also see Fozzie, who I coach with, and what a great guy he is. And he's donated twice to fundraisers that I've done for suicide awareness. And he's got a great young lad. He's not even in his 50s, and he's gotten so many injuries from rugby, and he tries to look after so many people, and he comes from a loving and caring place. Pacific Islanders are like that, they're very good natured people. I'm yet to meet one that isn't. I'm sure they're out there, but I haven't met one yet. I love them all. I think they're all great guys. Giants of men could kill you, but they're the most loving and caring people you could ever meet. If you've got a Pacific Island friend, you've got a friend for life, and you're lucky. You'll be blessed for it, and I can't speak highly enough of them. That's why I have these tattoos on my Pacific Island. I love a rugby. And then, oh, it's actually covering my tattoo. This one. Yeah. Life recently. I've had a difficult few weeks, guys. Just needed a rant about life. And I know it's not been easy for you either. But I know you appreciate what I do, and that's why I try and get out as much as I can. Because we don't need someone to tell us how to live our lives. What we need is someone who just hears us out. Just goes, life is shit, but you know what? You're not alone. Problem shared is always a problem halved. Nothing worse than feeling like you're the only one feeling a certain way, but the more you connect with people, you realise the way I'm feeling is not isolated to me. There is a lot of people feeling the same way. And life is not easy. So anything we can do to help each other out, that's why we do it, and that's why I do what I do. I've just felt a lot less capable recently, and someone who has worked, and I have worked incredibly hard on this to participate in society. And not everyone is bad. I feel so bad when I am in one of these pissy moods, when people are annoying me, and then I am ignorant towards someone who is being nice to me, and I'm like, oh, fucking sorry about that, I'm just not having a good day, but I don't want my day to drag everybody else down, you know. It's just hard sometimes. But a problem shared is a problem halved. So anyway, guys, rant done. This fucking thing is squeezing the arm off me, so I'll see you in the next one. And I'm gonna make videos talking about the Six Nations. I'll do that soon, as the Six Nations is coming up in only 2 weeks. It all kicks off on the 5th of February. Rugby Jackal, please stay tuned because I will definitely be doing something on that. And then boxing corruption. We have to get to that one for sure. But hope you are all well, guys. Reach out, keep commenting down below, keep liking and subscribing. And you can support me in the Buy Me a Coffee if you want to. But all support is always greatly appreciated. So don't think just because you're not supporting the Buy Me a Coffee or the PA the House suicide awareness that you're not still doing something. Like and subscribe, share the videos as well. I'm seeing a lot of shares. We've got like 336 shares. So keep doing that. That helps me boost the algorithm. Jesus, I sound like a real YouTuber now. And I'm on 1,222 subs currently, which is great, and I want that to keep going up. Because then I can monetize the videos and I don't have to rely on buying me a coffee. But for now, I do, because I need more valid public watch hours. So yeah, that's the story anyway. Hope you are all well. And yeah, just know that life is not easy and you're not alone. And life is even less easy when you're neurodivergent. All right, guys, slán go fóill.